There was a time when if I'd have forgotten a lyric, I'd be so angry at myself. Now I live by 3 words. I don't care. And that's really an important thing to nurture, to know what to care about and what not to care about. What if I spent like the rest of the day being upset that I forgot those 2 silly little lyrics? Wouldn't that be a waste of my time? Yes. Thank you. Then I shan't. So the title of my talk this morning is Perspectives. And what you just saw were 2 people remembering something, but the song makes you think that I was wrong. Clearly, that's not the case. And that he was right, although I do acquiesce to him being right and me being a little bit wrong. But perspectives is really what this entire life you are living is about. I wasn't sure I was going to say this, but yesterday, when we got stuck in the airport for 8 hours, I am sitting, we were in the first class lounge at Delta, gorgeous lounge, so it's the worst places to get stuck. And it has an open not bar, I wasn't drinking, but an open food. I mean, whenever you needed, you just went up and got it. So it was a fun 8 hours. Well, fun's maybe over-exaggerating. But I'm sitting by myself, Kevin and Marcy and Al are over a little bit further, and I'm sitting at a desk at a window typing. And I do notice all of these guys coming in and passing me. And they all seemed to be dressed alike, but I still didn't pay attention to it. And then all of a sudden, there was this guy sitting right to my left, and I still didn't pay attention to it. So Marcy came over and said to me, "You are now sitting next to Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State for Donald Trump." I was like, "What?" And I turned and looked, and I looked, I was like, "Oh, it is him." Okay, so I just did my thing. But then, for the 3 hours he was there, right next to me, and I'm working and all, the room's energy was very palpable because half the people in the room were really disturbed. And the other half of the people in the room were coming up to him, thanking him for his service, and said some things like, "We really wish you were here with us now." Things like that. And then you could hear other people coughing, like, "Ugh!" And so I was like, how funny that I am getting to sit right in the middle of this when I'm actually preparing to talk about perspectives. And that there is no right or wrong, there's just your perspective and your perspective. And that's what we understand on the quantum field. There is no actual truth. There is just your perspective and your perspective. So this whole idea about false news, true news, and I know some of you are going to be like, wait, no, there is a truth. But you know what? At the end of the day, we're all people, so the truth is coming from perspectives no matter how you look at it. It is coming from everyone's individual perspective. And all I can say is that despite any kind of political feelings I may have, his smile was warm, and he was very sweet to me. Because we went to dinner, we talked. No, we didn't. Totally kidding. So I was putting this talk together, and I was thinking about how do I go out on this theme of remember? So could you give me the next slide? So I came to the 3 W's of remember. What do you remember? Why do you remember? And what comes from your memories? So let's start with number 1. Next slide. What do you remember? How many of you get your Facebook thing that pops up and shows you, here's your memories from last year? And then all these pictures come, and you're like, oh my God, remember that, remember that? And this happens a lot. But I want you to just take a moment here today, and I want you to ask yourself, what do you remember? What memory? If I say, of your past, what memories really pop up for you? Like, what shows up in your mind? What do you remember? What kinds of things do you remember? It's an interesting quote by Mark Twain. It's the next slide. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. But what is truth? We talk about spiritual truth a lot here. What is the spiritual truth? Well, we know that the spiritual truth of hate is love. Love, because we understand what love is. It's a vibration, it's an energy, it's a creative energy. And that hate is merely a misunderstanding of love. We ask, what's the truth of lack? Well, it's prosperity. Why do we know that truth? Because we understand that on the quantum level, this is an amazingly prosperous field of energy everywhere present. We all are this energy, so lack is just our use of this energized field of prosperity. So, but if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything on the relative plane. Kind of doesn't apply so much, because the question really becomes, whose truth? Your truth? My truth? Because at the end of the day, truth is subjective. It's subject to who you are. So when I ask you, what do you remember? Why do you think you remember those things? So go to this next definition. Subjective. It's based on or influenced by personal feelings, tastes, or opinions. So how many feelings do you think you have had, Marty, throughout your lifetime? Bazillion. Not a number, but cute. Bazillion, right? How many opinions have you had? Way too many, yes? We've all had lots of opinions. And tastes, feelings, tastes, opinions. We all come from this plethora of ideology that dictates what we remember. Because those memories fill some void in our consciousness and take space within us. So it's kind of like the chicken of the egg. Is what I remember influencing me, or is who I am influencing what I remember? Is it because of who I am that I remember the things I remember? Or by remembering the things I remember, does it affect who I am? And that really is a chicken or the egg, isn't it? And yet I really do think there is an answer to all of this. And the answer is, it's both. It's both and. It's not either or. They both occur. My memories affect me and changes my mood, my emotions. And, because it's the law of polarities, of course, Eric, before you scream it out. Right? Was he saying that just now? He was he? I knew. Yeah. So, number 2, give me the second slide. So that's the first one. The second one is, why do I remember it? So pick a memory that you have, and then just ask yourself, why do I remember this? What is it? What's the energy in this? What's the power of this memory? Why do I remember this? And that's the good things and the not so good things. Why do you hold on to grudges you have with people? Kevin? Why do you hold on to something that is not so pleasant for you? What is it that makes that memory grab a hold of you? So the why is really important for us to ask ourselves. Why do I remember? So we just flew to Texas for Will's graduation. And when we got to Texas, when we were walking through the airport on our way in, there was a feeling that came over me. It was a memory. I'd been through that airport many, many times with Kevin. Only a few times with Will, but many times with Kevin, because prior to even having children, we spent a lot of time in Texas. We spent a lot of time Kevin spent a lot of time acting in shows there. I directed a couple, and we produced shows in Texas. So Texas was a place that we loved to go. But when I got off the plane and I was walking through the airport, I had this feeling. And all of a sudden, I had the memory of taking Will to Texas for the first time for him to look at Texas State University. And the feeling that came over me walking through the airport and getting into the car and just driving down the road on our way to San Marcos, Texas, which is where the university is, I was asking myself, what am I feeling? What is going on in here? But the real thing is, what's happened in these 4 years? A lot has happened since both of our children went off to college. And all of that came wrapped together in one overwhelming feeling of excitement, success, accomplishment for my son, accomplishment for us getting to this point in our lives, the loss of Nora, all the many things that are wrapped around this. All of these are memories that are wrapped around feelings that are wrapped around memories that provoke the feelings, and yet there I am driving in this sea, this field of some type of feeling, some type of emotion. So his graduation, it was bringing back memories of my own graduation. My graduation was the last time my mother was healthy because she got sick after that and passed. The graduation of my sexuality, coming out, not that I did. It took me forever to really make a choice, to really decide. I would do much better as a young adult in today's society because I could just be fluid. I could just say, I don't know, whoever I fall in love with, and it happens to be you. That would have been such a better way to have lived my life. But sexuality was a big part of what I was going through at that time. All of this is coming up for me as I'm driving. Can you imagine the weightiness of that? As I am, and now, by the way, I'm only driving into Texas. Then we get to the university, and we had all these events, and then Will's graduation itself, which was just beautiful. Our son is really a beautiful young man, and he's so responsible, and he's so caring, and, he has two moms, two dads that don't necessarily like being in the same place at the same time. So he's like, okay, Dad, I'm going to have to figure this out. And we were like, do whatever you want to do. It's all fine. And it all worked out beautifully. And he had this beautiful time. And these kids that graduate Texas State University have this what's it called? Ritual, this tradition, where right after they graduate, they all run to the river and jump in their cap and gowns. And so we were so excited to watch this. And I had said to Will, just tell me what you're wearing under the cap and gown so that I can be clear. He went, no, I've got it covered. But he didn't tell me anything until I took the picture of him as he graduated, and he went like this, and it opened, and there's his full leg. I was like, wow, it's like Lana Turner just graduated. And I took the picture, and he was like, that's awesome. So he was very ready to jump in the river. And I'm watching all of these caps and gowns, actually just gowns, they all saved their caps, jumping into the river. And it was such an exhilarating moment, wasn't it, for us? Because it was like all of them are jumping into their lives. They're jumping in. And when you go to one of these things, you start having memories of what was it like for me when I jumped into my own life. And here's the thing. The memory's not really the important thing. It's not the memory. It's the feeling that accompanies the memory. And that's the question I want us all to look at today. When these memories pop up, are they accurate? Are the feelings accurate even? Because, give me the next slide, memories are feelings realized. Now just think about that for a second. You're not really remembering the memory. You are remembering what you felt. The memory may have statistics and points of view, and you could stand here just like Kevin and I saying, we met at 9, we met at 8. I was on time. No, you were late. In my head, I was on time. I was probably 5 minutes off, which is on time for me. For Kevin, if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. So we just have different perspectives on this. Our whole 33 years. So memories are feelings realized. So part of what I'm here telling you today is use your memories to remember what you felt and then make some decisions about them. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's this quantum field we live in, where memories, things that we point to say, this captured my attention, this created who I am today. Did it? Or did the feeling of that move you through your life and you're still creating who you are today with perhaps outdated memories or outdated feelings? So if you give me the next slide, number 3 is what comes from your memories? And this is really the big question. Do you know that all of your memories are active? Whether you're thinking them or not, they're all active. They are part of this energetic field of energy that is your consciousness. And so all of the memories of your life have some potency to them, depending on what they are. You may have good memories, you may have bad memories. You may have memories that you now understand in such a way that the feelings you had then, while you're still getting them because they just come with the memory, are really not accurate. And perhaps they're not truthful to you. So the great news here is that you can start looking at your memories, looking at all the things you think you did, accomplished, all the reasons why you are who you are, and ask yourself, is any of this relevant? And can I just ditch it all and start over? Because in the end, they're just relative facts. The memory is the feeling you applied to it. The facts, does it matter, really, if I arrived at 8 or 9 at the end of the day? No. So this next quote by Ernest Holmes, he says, "We should remember no longer that which we hold against ourselves." So I want to invite you to ask yourself, what memories are still working against you? What memories do you have that still have a punch to them? Do you have anything that you still, as soon as you remember it, you go, oh, there's that feeling? Anybody? Yeah, I have them. Just moments I can drudge it up and it's still there. And if I drudge it up and it's still there, it's the feeling I need to look at, not the memory. Why do I feel that way about this thing, this instance? I could look at yesterday and think, what a horrible waste of time to spend my day in an airport lounge. 8 hours of my life. But you know the good thing? I had all of these tests to grade. That's what I was doing, all of you practitioner students. I had all of these tests to grade anyway, and it really was great to know that I was grading tests on practitioner studies next to Mike Pompeo. You should all know that as you get your grades back. That might be why they're a little wonky. No, every single person, I'm not done. I still have 2 tests to do. That's how long it took to grade these. You all were complaining how long it took to take the test. It took just as long to grade them all. More, probably, to grade them all. Luckily, Scott didn't even take the test. He said, I'm not bothering. He saved me that hour of grading his test. So, the question becomes, how much of what you think you know do you really know? I love my thing. I know nothing. Now, what can I know? Because those things that we keep remembering that derail us, those emotions that we keep playing over and over and over again, do not serve us if they don't serve us. And that brings me to the most important part of number 3, choice. Your choice. Your choice to remember something any way you choose to remember it. And you may have gone through the most hellacious thing in your life, and you have the power and the right to turn around and say, you know what? That was good. I'm going to call that good. There was a lot I got out of that, so that was good. And just dispel all of that negative, destructive energy that is still playing out in your life. And I have them. I'm still finding them as I work through my life. And as soon as I do, I'm like, that needs attention. For years, I had this, whenever anybody even mentioned Jerome Robbins, I was like, ugh, that man. I don't have that anymore. Well, he died. But I don't have that anymore. And not just because he's dead, but because I understood what he was actually doing, and I understood who I was back then. I was a pain in the ass. I really was. And no, you? And I had such an overinflated ego. That is in the past. Because now I know who I am. I remember who I am. Overinflated egos come from people who don't know who they are. So they have to pretend. And the ego is the thing that covers them up. So I actually have great sympathy for Jerome Robbins, for having to have worked with me at that time in my life. So I've been able to take all those feelings and change them and understand them and let them go. I mean, I could go on and on, but I won't. So you get to decide what these memories mean. Do not use your memory to beat yourself up. Your feelings can guide you to the choices you need to make. It's that simple. You don't like how you're feeling about memories you have, even sad ones, even memories that can derail you because the emotion's so raw. You can choose what that emotion is. That's how powerful your mind is. Don't give yourself the gift of wallowing in emotions. Give yourself the gift of understanding what the emotion is and then choosing the one that you want to move your life forward. So this next slide, an open mind is an expansive mind. If you would give yourself the gift of reviewing and putting everything on the same level in terms of your life, all of it, the great stuff, the major successes, and what seem like the giant failures. You know, one of the reasons why I haven't written another musical was because of the colossal failure I experienced with Dorian, a show that was on its way to Broadway and then died out of town. And I got this feeling about it. Now, I'm like, you know what? I'll write 10 more. If one of them gets there, great. But I'm going to just keep writing. And that is taking this memory, getting the feelings clear about it, and moving on. Just moving on. So an open mind is an expansive mind. That means don't know so much, Audrey, and I know you don't know so much about what you think you know so much about. Did y'all get that? Mm-hmm. Don't know so much about your memories. Don't know so much about who done me wrong and how they done me wrong and holding true to that. But say, how could I look at this in another way? What perspective could I take that could change who I am in this moment? Because it does. It changes us. Our emotions, our feelings, our memories change us because they are active, they are alive. So Albert Einstein said this: the measure of intelligence is the ability to change perspectives. So doesn't everyone here think of themselves as intelligent? Does anybody not think of themselves as intelligent? Good. We all think about, really, Swan? No. Swan just raised her hand. She was like, Right? So if the measure of intelligence is our ability to change perspectives, it would mean the measure of our knowing who we are is our ability to not know so much, and yet to know that we know everything. That means get out of the way of all of this stuff that you know and tap into that infinite knowing that knows exactly who you are, always, always knows who you are. So this week, I want you to be on guard. I really want you to pay attention this week. Every time you say, well, I know that, stop. Do you? Do you really know that? Or have you bought into that? Or have your feelings designed it for you? So really pay attention this week. Look at all the stuff you think you know. And yes, even this teaching, everything. You know, my motto this year for all of the classes was question everything. And I got caught. Some of my students caught me and went, wait, you just told me that I was wrong and you were right, but you also told me to question everything. And I remember jokingly saying, I did ask you to question everything, but once you're done questioning it, you need to listen to the answer. And this person called me on that, and I went, you're absolutely right. I said, and do you know why I came back with the answer to this? Because I was uncomfortable questioning that. And if I can be that awake to my own personality, so can you. So this week, I really want you to take the time to ask yourself, do I really know what I think I know? And especially when the memories come up, when the memories come find you, check the feeling. Why are you feeling the way you're feeling? There was a moment once the 20-year-olds were all in the water, and they were laughing and splashing, and I was standing up here dressed in my graduation dad outfit, and I thought to myself, I would love to be in there. And I thought to myself, I could jump in there if I want to. I don't really want to. I want to be that 22-year-old starting his life over, and I got it. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks that there is still a little part of me that doesn't fully believe what I know is true, which is that at any moment I have my whole life to live. And nothing is predicated on how long I've been here. And I stood there, and as I'm in my head thinking about all this, because this is how I live my life, constantly calling myself out. What is it? What did you just feel? What did you just think? Why did you think that? Because this is what you believe. Honestly, I'm like, shut up. And then the next thing I knew, my son had his arms all around me. He had climbed up and come over and given me this big hug, getting me wet. And he said, do you mind? I went, nope. I think I just called it to be. I wanted to jump in, now I don't have to, because you've just made me wet. So it was perfect. So as you go through this week, as you go through the rest of this month, as we're off to Guatemala, as we're all off to doing the amazing things we're doing in the world, let's be really careful to ask ourselves, what am I feeling? What are these memories? Is there something else I could know? Could I have a different perspective here? Because you are the infinite energy of the universe. You are the expansive vibration of the universe. You get to choose in any moment exactly what you decide something is. And if that's the truth, and that is the truth, until you argue me out of it, that is the truth, then why would we not decide only those things that support the very nature of our being and the things we want to do? It's all a matter of perspectives. And I'm going to suggest that we all have a perspective that is constantly evolving, no matter what. So there you go. You have this whole next couple of, what's today, the 50th, you've got the second half of the month to really do the work. Because my motto, do the work. Live the results. So that's what it is. Now we can all say it. Do the work. Live the results. Live the results. That's the only reason we're here. Isn't that why you became a minister, Tiffany? Or are you still questioning that? Why did I become a minister? Because I need to get up and talk about this every week. I need to remind myself, as Audrey said, constantly who I am. Because I am not limited. I am not old. I am not done. I am not the result of my failures. I am not even the result of my successes. I am the infinite universe living right here, right now, full potentiality, able to do whatever I choose to do and do it well and not care how it turns out. Just know how it feels inside of me. And that's what you can do too. Namaste. Thank you.